Zambia's $20 billion nuclear plan. Makebi Zulu's solution to END load shedding forever. Good day and welcome to InspirAfrica Official, the channel where we decode the power, politics, and promises shaping Africa's future. Tonight, Makebi Zulu has just made a claim that's shaking Zambia's energy debate to its core. He says load shedding will end once and for all. And the secret weapon: nuclear energy. But can Zambia really go nuclear? Or is this just another political mirage? Stay with us, because what we found might surprise you. Picture this: a nation trapped in darkness. 21 hours of load shedding. Families huddled around dying candles. Businesses shuttering their doors forever. The hum of economic progress replaced by the deafening silence of a country without power. This is Zambia today, a nation choking under the weight of its own ambition, drowning in the shadows of hydroelectric dams that have run dry. But what if I told you there's a man who claims he has the answer? A solution so audacious, so controversial, that it could either catapult Zambia into a new era of prosperity, or chain it to foreign powers for generations to come. Enter Makebi Zulu, lawyer, presidential hopeful, and the man promising to resurrect a ghost from Zambia's past. A multi-billion-dollar nuclear energy project that was abandoned, discredited, and left to rot in the archives of broken promises. But here's where it gets interesting, viewers. Is Zulu's nuclear pivot a genuine solution to end load shedding forever? Or is this another political sleight of hand, a recycled dream dressed up in campaign rhetoric? Can a nation that struggles to manage street garbage truly handle radioactive waste? And what about the price tag? Estimates ranging from $10 to $30 billion for a country whose entire GDP is barely $21 billion. What happens when desperation meets nuclear ambition? What happens when a nation running on empty makes a deal with Rosatom, the Russian nuclear giant that has woven its tentacles across Africa? And most crucially, what happens when the lights finally come back on, but the bill comes due? The revelation came to light just hours ago, when Makebi Zulu, the Patriotic Front presidential hopeful, issued a media statement that sent shockwaves through Zambian political circles. Let's establish the context. Zambia is currently experiencing its worst energy crisis in modern history. Load shedding has escalated from 2 or 3 hours daily in 2021 to a crippling 21 to 22 hours in recent months. The culprit? A devastating drought triggered by El Niño, which has decimated the hydroelectric power generation that Zambia depends on almost entirely. The nation's power utility, ZESCO, faces a deficit of 1,300 megawatts against its installed capacity of just 3,356 megawatts. But the nuclear story begins much earlier. Back in December 2016, when then-President Edgar Lungu stood before Parliament and announced Zambia was going nuclear. 3 months later, in a ceremony at Lusaka's plush Pamadzi Hotel, Zambian government representatives signed a series of memoranda of understanding with Rosatom, Russia's state-owned nuclear agency. The initial plan was ambitious: a 15-year nuclear cooperation program with the eventual goal of constructing a 2,000-megawatt nuclear power plant in Chongwe, just outside Lusaka. The estimated cost? Local media pegged it at $10 billion. Nearly half of Zambia's GDP at the time. In February 2017, the country signed an intergovernmental agreement to construct a center for nuclear science and technology, complete with a research reactor, laboratories, isotope production facilities, and training centers. The project was supposed to be implemented in 3 to 6 years. By December 2018, Rosatom delivered a comprehensive feasibility report on Zambia's nuclear infrastructure. Everything seemed to be moving forward. Then came 2020. Financial constraints, compounded by the COVID-19 pandemic, brought everything to a grinding halt. Russia declined to commit the approximately $10 billion required for the larger plan. The project was suspended, and both governments pledged to reassess the roadmap. Fast forward to November 2025. Zambia is in crisis. The current UPND administration under President Hakainde Hichilema, which once promised to end load shedding within 7 months, is struggling to deliver solutions. Citizens are furious. Businesses are collapsing. And in this climate of desperation, Makebi Zulu has resurrected the nuclear ghost. In his statement, Zulu declared that his administration, if elected in 2026, would immediately restart the nuclear energy project. He pledged to halt all electricity exports, insisting that power generated in Zambia must first benefit Zambians. He pointed to the Patriotic Front's legacy of expanding hydroelectric stations, Lunzua, Chishimba, Luzawesi, Itezidiji, Muzanda, Kariba, and Kafui Gorge Lower, as proof of their capacity to build generation assets. Let me read you directly from Makebi Zulu's statement, because his words are critical to understanding what's being promised here. Fellow citizens, Zulu began, for far too long, our people have suffered under the weight of endless load shedding and the unbearable cost of fuel. Families are struggling, businesses are closing, and jobs are being lost every day. He didn't mince words about the current administration either. I question whether those who once celebrated the Dubai formula and claimed to have ended load shedding in 1 year can now credibly ask citizens for patience, Zulu said, directly challenging President Hichilema's broken promises. But it was his nuclear commitment that caught everyone's attention. The nuclear energy project, previously abandoned, has the potential to transform the energy sector and ensure long-term stability. Energy is not just about light, it is about life and economic progress. Without energy, there can be no meaningful development. The time has come to restore power not only to the grid but to the people. Zulu expressed unwavering confidence. Together, Zambians can build a nation that works for everyone. But not everyone is buying it. The reaction on social media and from energy experts has been swift and scathing. One commenter on the Zambian Observer wrote, "Zambia is not ready for nuclear energy and won't be for the next 10 years. We cannot handle the risks associated with nuclear energy. We don't have the discipline to adhere to the safety requirements of a nuclear power plant, and the consequences of a mishap can be catastrophic and therefore not worth it." Another wrote, "If we can't even manage garbage which wipes out like cockroaches, how can we manage nuclear energy?" New energy science and technology engineer Boniface Zulu, no relation to Makebi, issued a particularly stark warning. This is not like setting up solar panels. Nuclear energy is extremely dangerous. One radioactive spill could affect not just Zambia but neighboring countries such as Malawi and Mozambique. He continued, "We must consider national security, the management of radioactive waste, and whether we have enough trained, patriotic Zambians to operate such a sensitive facility. Zambia lacks both the infrastructure and financial capacity to manage a potential nuclear accident like those seen in Chernobyl or Fukushima." The International Atomic Energy Agency weighed in too. Following their advisory service mission to Zambia in July 2024, the IAEA commended the country's commitment but flagged significant shortcomings, including weak regulatory oversight, inadequate infrastructure, with a 3.8 gigawatt national grid unable to reliably support a single 2 gigawatt plant, poor emergency preparedness, shortages of skilled personnel, and limited public engagement. Most damning, ordinary Zambians have yet to be meaningfully consulted on the potential risks. Now let's dig deeper into what this really means for Zambia, because there are layers upon layers of complexity here. First, the economic reality. Multiple experts have estimated that a 2.4 gigawatt nuclear plant, similar to what Zambia envisions, would cost around $30 billion. That's more than Zambia's entire GDP. Even the conservative $10 billion estimate represents half the nation's economic output. With Zambia's annual budget sitting at just $7.2 billion, how exactly would the country finance this? The answer, as we've seen in other African nations, is vendor financing. Rosatom, Russia's nuclear behemoth, has a proven model. They fund construction costs and recoup their investment by selling electricity at artificially high, contracted prices over decades. Egypt's El Daba nuclear plant, currently under construction at a cost of $30 billion, follows this exact model, with Rosatom covering 85% of costs through Russian loans. But here's the catch. Zambia would essentially be mortgaging its energy future to a foreign corporation. And as one analyst pointed out regarding a similar deal in South Africa, this would leave energy users at the mercy of a foreign corporation with the power to dictate that price at will. Then there's the political dimension. Makebi Zulu's pledge to immediately halt electricity exports sounds appealing on the surface. Power for Zambians first. But as critics have noted, this ignores the reality of regional energy interconnectors. Next year, the Tanzania electricity interconnector will begin functioning. What happens when Zambia needs to import electricity but has burned bridges by unilaterally canceling export contracts? As one commenter asked, a coin has two sides. There's also the question of timing. Analysts warn it could take 20 years before Zambia is technically and institutionally ready to operate a nuclear facility. 20 years. That's 2 decades of continued load shedding, while waiting for a solution that may never materialize. Meanwhile, solar power, wind energy, and other renewables could be deployed far more quickly and cheaply. The regulatory framework is another red flag. The IAEA mission found that Zambia's nuclear security regime, particularly the control of nuclear and radioactive material outside regulatory oversight, remains dangerously weak. The country has no established nuclear regulator, no emergency response protocols, and insufficient trained personnel. Compare this to South Africa, which has operated the Coburg nuclear plant safely for decades, with meticulous tracking of every drum of nuclear waste since the 1960s. South Africa has the infrastructure, expertise, and institutional capacity. Zambia, by contrast, is starting from scratch. And then there's Russia. Across Africa, Rosatom has signed nuclear agreements with at least 15 countries since 2004. South Africa, Nigeria, Algeria, Ghana, Tunisia, Zambia, Sudan, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Congo, Uganda, Morocco, Mali, Burundi, and Zimbabwe. But how many have actually built functioning plants? Only Egypt has concrete construction underway. The others remain trapped in feasibility studies, training programs, and memoranda of understanding that never materialize into megawatts. Is Zambia about to join this graveyard of nuclear dreams? The Patriotic Front, which Zulu represents, governed during years of heavy infrastructure investment. They did expand hydroelectric capacity at multiple sites, but they also left office amid debt strain, economic mismanagement, and public mistrust. The current UPND government inherited constrained fiscal space and climate-driven hydropower pressure, but has so far failed to deliver on its own energy promises. Both narratives are now on trial before voters. And nuclear energy has become the ultimate political Rorschach test. Is it a bold vision for energy independence, or a reckless gamble that could bankrupt the nation? So there you have it, viewers. Zambia stands at a crossroads. On one side, the promise of nuclear energy, stable baseload power, an end to load shedding forever. On the other, staggering debt, dependence on foreign vendors, potential environmental catastrophe, and decades of waiting. Makebi Zulu has thrown down the gauntlet. He's betting that Zambians are desperate enough to embrace nuclear, despite the risks, despite the costs, despite the warnings from experts. The 2026 elections will be a referendum not just on leadership, but on Zambia's energy future. Will voters buy into the nuclear dream? Or will they demand more practical, incremental solutions? Solar, wind, regional interconnectors, and better management of existing hydroelectric resources. The stakes couldn't be higher. Because when you're sitting in darkness for 21 hours a day, any promise of light starts to look appealing, even if it comes wrapped in radiation warning symbols. Thank you so much for watching this edition of InspirAfrica Official. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Do you think nuclear energy is the right solution for Zambia? Can Makebi Zulu deliver on this promise? Or is this political theater designed to win votes? Drop your thoughts, share this video, and let's keep this conversation going. I'll be back tomorrow with more stories from across the continent. Until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep asking the tough questions. This is Nakash, signing off.